Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets in.
Where are you trying to go? There's a right now they're trying to
Welcome to CNN Digital on this historic inauguration day, a bitterly cold day that has forced the inauguration event indoors. Just incredible. The sun right now over the Capitol, where the swearing-in ceremony will take place at noon today, is outshining brightly, but it's only taking the edge off the bitter Arctic air that has settled in to the nation's capital here in Washington, D.C. Every few moments, we get these gusts of wind that just make it incredibly, incredibly cold. So I really believe that this was all part of the decision process here for the inauguration and a lot of the events, including the parade, to be moved indoors today. This is a very unique day because as a meteorologist, we have this very dedicated historical track record of past inaugural events. So is this one of the coldest inauguration days in American history? It's one of the coldest, but not the coldest. So we have to go back 4 decades. We're talking 40 years. That was Ronald Reagan's second inauguration, where temperatures were actually 7 degrees outdoors. Now, it won't be that cold today, but it will feel like it's that cold. And in fact, we've got what is called a cold weather advisory. So again, the sun just taking off the edge, it is the wind chill values that are dropping temperatures into the single digits and the teens throughout the course of the day. Just a hive of activity happening here in DC. You can hear the sirens. There's plenty of security in and around this area. And part of that decision process to move things indoors is because of all the police, of all the extra personnel, and of course, the people that were wanting to watch the inauguration event, but it is just simply too cold to do so. So this cold weather emergency that has been activated by the mayor of Washington, D.C., warning of frostbite if you spend any considerable amount of time in these types of temperatures, especially as the day progresses and as we get into the overnight period tonight. So this cold Arctic blast, we'll call it a part of the polar vortex, has settled into the nation's capital, and it is bitterly, bitterly cold here. Temperatures will be in the lower 20s, so that's actually the mercury in the thermometer, but it is, again, that wind chill value. What is it apparent feels like temperature on your skin, your exposed skin. That's why I'm bundled up like this, and that is why it is so dangerously cold to spend any considerable amount of time outside. So just an incredible historic day. Of course, a lot of this taking place indoors. But in the minutes to come, actually, the Bidens are going to be welcoming the Trumps into the White House here in a couple of minutes. So we're anxious to watch that as the motorcade travels towards the White House. It is extremely cold here in the nation's capital, and it will stay that way as this is one of the coldest inauguration events in American history. Thanks for tuning in to CNN Digital. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
President Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff, her husband, they welcomed J.D. Vance and his wife Usha to the White House as well. So a lot of the ceremonies involved in Inauguration Day and in Inauguration Day morning, they are starting to, as we are seeing, migrate to here at the White House. President Trump, of course, has been at St. John's with his family and advisors and others who will make up his new incoming administration for another part of what has been a tradition on Inauguration Day for many years now. Now, in terms of just the mood here at the White House and what it has been like to cover Inauguration Day morning the last several hours, obviously there is a ton of heightened security. Usually, it is there's just a one security gate that you go through as a reporter with a hard pass. We actually had to go around a larger perimeter this morning to go through security. So 2 rounds of security checkpoints essentially to get in. And there are a lot of reporters here, reporters who have covered Joe Biden and the Biden presidency. And then, of course, reporters who will go on to continue covering the Trump presidency. Just in terms of the mood inside the building, I mean, first and foremost, it is a bit of a ghost town because many of the folks who work inside the White House and have worked for President Biden, they've actually already said their goodbyes and vacated their offices. I was actually taking a walk around the lower press earlier. That is where the members of the press team for President Biden sit, very close to the offices of the reporters at the White House. And it was basically empty. The desks were empty. The walls were basically empty. I think I saw one photograph of President Biden that was sitting on its side, clearly waiting for somebody to take with them once this day is over. But again, what we are waiting for right now is that motorcade carrying Donald Trump and Melania Trump to approach right here and come into the White House. And then we will see President Biden and Jill Biden greeting them. Back here at the White House North Lawn, we are seeing right here behind me the motorcade carrying incoming President Donald Trump and the incoming First Lady, of course, Melania Trump, driving up there to the North Portico. That is where we know President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are standing. There they are. I know hard to see from here, but they are standing at the doors, and we are seeing the motorcade pulling up. The red carpet is out for them, and in any moment we will see, well, I will see, it's a little hard again to see from here,
Travel pool. We're going.
Hey, everybody on CNN.com. We are here in the very cold Washington, D.C. today. And behind this line of police officers, you can see a very, very long line of people trying to get into the Capital One Arena. That is, of course, where the inauguration celebrations are happening after the official swearing-in ceremony. Really, probably hard to capture right here, but you can see this is going back blocks and blocks and blocks all throughout Washington, D.C. Not sure if everybody's actually going to be able to make it into the arena itself, but you know, folks here are all very excited, people that we've been speaking to all morning, just delighted to be here in D.C. to see their candidate for president successfully being sworn in. There is also some counter demonstrators here. You can probably hear some of them in the background. Actually, just two lone counter demonstrators in this of these. Let's see actually if they'll talk to us. You guys chat to us live on CNN.com. So you're one of the few counter demonstrators here at the moment.
Yes.
Why is it important for you for your voice to be heard here today?
Because I want to make other people know and feel that the resistance isn't dead, that there are people who are disgusted by the fact that Donald Trump tried to overthrow our government on January 6, 2021, especially as a DC resident, especially as somebody who saw with my own eyes the attack on our Capitol on January 6, because I was protesting the Proud Boys and white supremacist groups who attacked the Capitol. I think that it's very important that there are people who are sick and tired of Donald Trump and that he's a wannabe dictator.
Thank you very much for your time. Yeah, thank you. So look, that's just a small sample. There was, of course, a People's March here over the weekend, which thousands of people showed up to much smaller demonstrations.
Continue to watch this unfold. Truly historic in nature right there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You're seeing the former speakers of the House there, McCarthy, Boehner, and Gingrich. So that's always interesting to see them kind of commingling together. Of course, Republican political powerhouses, all three of them really in their own right there. But I just want to go back. Our viewers were just watching that really incredible, somewhat tense scene, I think, between the Bidens and the Trumps. And you just kind of have to get into the head of Trump, into the head of Biden. You know, these are longtime political foes. We know that they cannot stand each other. On the surface, yes, they exchanged pleasantries. They had a short conversation. They took the photo here. But the 2020 election and the 2024 election were very hard-fought contests. We know Trump did not even attend the inauguration of Joe Biden. Of course, things look a lot different this time around. And right now, as we speak, they are having tea together in the White House. And that goes to what Jim Robidault was saying, that this is what this day is about, the peaceful transition of power. You saw that aside, no matter how hard it is in your marrow and in your bones, that you might be thinking to yourself, if you're Biden or Trump, or even Harris with Vance, because electoral defeats are very painful. But you put all that aside for today, one day only. And I think that's what Jim was alluding to. That's what this country is all about. That's what makes us unique. He called it, and many have called it, a miracle, so to speak. So I just wanted to note that there. Of course, we know President-elect Trump's relationship with former House Speaker McCarthy. You'll remember, Stephanie, in the wake of the January 6th Capitol attack, mere days, if not weeks afterward, Kevin McCarthy went down to Mar-a-Lago. And that was really seen as a game-changing moment. That was seen as a moment that was rehabilitating Trump's image in the wake of the January 6th Capitol attack, that there were going to be fellow Republicans who will still stand by him and forgive him for January 6th. So I thought that was interesting. McCarthy, of course, we know how that unfolded for him. He lost the gavel. His own fellow Republicans, 8 of them, ousting him from the speakership now a little bit over a year ago. And so he's on hand. There's going to be a lot of people on hand in the Capitol Rotunda. But that's what I'm thinking of right now. And just for our viewers, to give them up to speed on what's happening live right now. They are, the Bidens and the Trumps, having tea together at the White House before they ride together to the Capitol, to the Rotunda for the swearing in.
You know, and we're taking a live look, Andrew, of the White House right there as the tea ceremony is underway. And you know, it's always so interesting as we see, you know, the political rivalry, you know, front and center, you know, especially during the election cycle. And, you know, the ability for some, perhaps not all, but some of these politicians to then set that rivalry, that contentiousness aside, you know, and seeing beyond perhaps the political party and seeing the person instead. You know, as we take a look at the political landscape, you know, what do you make of that? Because we were seeing President-elect Trump and former President Barack Obama speaking with one another quite cordially at the funeral service of former President Jimmy Carter. Of course, you know, not everyone is able to, you know, put those politics aside after leaving office, after handing the baton, so to speak. You know, but one has to wonder what the conversation is like now inside the White House, as in just hours, President Biden, no longer president, and President-elect Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, and for the second time.
Right. I mean, history is contingent. Elections matter. I'm sure you have. I know I have lost contests in my personal life, minor, large, grand, small, and it's tough and it hurts. But that's what this day is about. You put those aside. You let bygones be bygones for at least a couple hours.
Absolutely. And that apparently is what they are going to do. And, you know, just to give our viewers just another look right here, I did want to share this live look right here as well, as we are taking a look outside the Capitol Hill right there, outside the Capitol building. You can see buses lining up, most likely to bring in individuals into the Capitol Rotunda. And there is the aerial view. Unfortunately, it does go in and out, as, you know, we do get these live streams from time to time, but I did want to share that with you.
And the agenda for the next 4 years. And so you see them all there, get off that charter bus. Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, and others there.
Absolutely. And I did also want to share this with our viewers, you know, and actually we see some of the outgoing members as well, perhaps, as everyone is seated right here. So, you know, we are awaiting the arrival of both President-elect Donald Trump and President Biden. They, of course, are having their pre-inauguration, you know, ceremony as we continue to see, you know, individuals trickle, you know, but also, you know, as we take a live look right here, this is historic in nature, because this is atypical, Andrew. This is not something that we traditionally see every 4 years with the swearing-in ceremony. I did want to share this with our viewers as well. As you can see, a live look there, you know, a larger, you know, more extensive view of the Capitol building right there, where everyone is congregating. And of course, as we have been sharing and talking about, there, of course, is a reason why, when it comes to the fact that the mall is completely empty, no one is in attendance, no one is allowed to congregate there because of the frigid weather. And so I did want to share that with our viewers as well. And a beautiful live look right here, you know, from the from the rooftop, I should say, of the Washington Monument, and this really giving us a clearer picture. We see the American flag there, you know, waving in the wind, and the wind chill making it even feel like single digits right here as we continue to await the arrival of President-elect Trump and, of course, President Biden.
Yeah, that was a really cool shot there atop the White House.
Were you using Google Ads for Google Analytics?
Of the federal government. It's going to be a who's who of Washington, but world leaders are also in attendance. I believe I saw the Argentinian president, Javier Milei, and other former world leaders as well. So we'll do our best pointing out these individuals, pointing out these members of Congress, former members of Congress, incoming and outgoing members of both administrations here. That's always, to your point, interesting to see who's there and who's not, who's seated next to who's standing maybe. But we're finally getting a live picture inside of the rotunda. We were wondering how this was all going to look because they had to pull it together so quickly. And there you see more of these individuals walking into Congress there. And if I recognize anyone, I will definitely point them out here. Looks like Tulsi Gabbard there, Vivek Ramaswamy, other members of the incoming Trump cabinet, and some of the staffers who will work in the second Trump White House. Upon confirmation, of course, there's Elon Musk.
And Andrew,
we can see if we can hear some of the natural sound. That's always interesting too.
It is, and we can see the inside of the rotunda as this, they continue to, weave through shots right here. But, as we take a moment to pause, I do want to bring in Rebecca Castor with Fox News as well as we continue our live coverage right here. And Rebecca, we're taking a live look from inside the Capitol Rotunda as we see lawmakers, officials, and really the who's who of Washington and the business industry, arrive ahead of the swearing-in ceremony. We see the Capitol building right there behind you as we are awaiting the arrival of President-elect Donald Trump. Security, of course, top of mind, thousands of law enforcement officers spreading out across Washington, D.C. to make sure that what happens is as seamless as possible, a hustle and bustle, if you will, ahead of the swearing-in ceremony. So, can you set the scene for us right now?
Hey, Stephanie, good morning. So speaking with other reporters on our Fox team who have covered inaugurations here in D.C. in the past, they're saying that this security feels a lot more ramped up than previous inaugurations. So even though things have moved indoors, security is still red hot. They have the Capitol building pretty much locked down like a fortress. There are miles and miles of fencing all around the Capitol building, as well as some of the nearby streets. It's really hard to travel by car here in downtown D.C. right now. People are saying that they've been having to walk for several miles to get to some of these locations. But yesterday, thousands of police officers from across the country arrived here in D.C. They were sworn in by the local police chief, and they have been given police powers to help out as if we would have seen Donald Trump outside on the west front of the Capitol taking the oath of office. Of course, all of these changes, primary reason is the weather. This morning, the feels like temperature was about 12 degrees. The sun is up, so it's warmed up a bit now. It feels a little bit more comfortable outside, but that decision was made with the safety in mind of the hundreds of thousands of people from all over the country who traveled to D.C. and we're going to congregate on the National Mall. They've actually shut that down. People that are still here are not able to even be around the National Mall today. They've locked it down because the police just don't want people gathering because of just the safety conditions out here in the weather.
All right, Rebecca, we do appreciate you sharing that with us as we continue to follow the very latest. And we did want to once again share this live look outside the Capitol Rotunda. We saw Jeff Bezos, of course, founder, CEO of Amazon, along with his fiancee, Lauren Sanchez. And I did want to raise the audio to see what we can hear as the arrivals continue at the U.S. Capitol ahead of the swearing-in ceremony. And we see former President Bill Clinton along with Hillary Rodham Clinton also in attendance right there, just posing for pictures. And we do know that, all of the living presidents will be in attendance, as well as the former first ladies, everyone except for Michelle Obama, who will not be attending, not giving any particular reason why that is. She also did not attend former President Jimmy Carter's funeral as well. As we continue truly to see the who's who, we do hear some of the music right here, so we pause on the commentary and allow you to listen in. And there we have Rudy Giuliani, the former attorney for President-elect Donald Trump, of course, the former mayor there of New York City, as Rudy Giuliani now making his way inside ahead of the swearing-in ceremony for President-elect Donald Trump. We continue to see this, but I do want to pivot now because we do see here the department.
And Stephanie, we're just watching, you just saw the second gentleman there, Doug Emhoff, with the incoming second lady, Usha Vance, there, leave the White House. We know tea is happening between the Bidens and Trumps as we speak, but we were seeing a slew of dignitaries there enter into the Capitol Rotunda, including many, many members of the House and the Senate. You also, I'm not sure if some of our viewers caught, saw Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, there walking into the rotunda. And from what I understand, I believe he will be administering the oath of office. Trump has two Bibles that will be used to administer the oath, his mother's Bible, and then, of course, the very, very famous Lincoln Bible from 1861. That's been a hallmark. It's been a tradition for many, many inaugurations past. So just a really, really beautiful live look. Let's keep listening.
Ready, post. Ready, post. Yeah.
And Stephanie, in these moments, in these parts, I have to be honest with the viewer, it is my favorite just to see who's talking to who and who's not talking to who and who's greeting each other and who's turned their body language away from each other. It is fascinating. And almost the former speakers there right in the front, kind of unofficially acting as a greeting line for so many members there of the House. Many Republican members right there. You see Chip Roy, you see Brian Stile from Wisconsin, and others there. You see Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey. Of course, Chip Roy drawing the ire of President-elect Trump during the entire government funding shutdown showdown that was averted mere weeks ago after the Christmas holiday. But it's just very, very interesting. So we are seeing this, Stephanie, of how all these people are going to fit in the Capitol Rotunda, and it is getting full, and it is getting packed, as we can see. So we're going to do our best to point out some of these notable individuals, some of these dignitaries there gathered, invited. Now, what was so interesting, a lot of these lawmakers, they get their own kind of set of tickets where they can hand out and dole out at will to supporters and family and friends. Well, that was kind of moot this year because it was moved inside from outside because it was so cold. So to your point, we have heard from a lot of people, people who come from all over the country to be here for Inauguration Day. Pretty disappointing. And to your point, the National Mall right now, not a soul in sight. And that is never the case on these inauguration days. It is teeming with thousands of people. And you see there some of the members of Congress, Mike McCall there from Texas, Marcy Kaptur from Ohio, Greg Meeks from New York, Byron Donalds from Florida there, Mike Waltz, the incoming National Security Advisor. Of course, remember, he had to resign his House seat in order to take this role. This is not a Senate-confirmed role, National Security Advisor. And you see so many others from the Texas Republican congressional delegation there.
And also, Andrew, what's interesting is, of course, obviously, all of this has had to pivot from an one, and the reason being that it was too bitterly cold outside. And now one has to wonder, with hundreds and hundreds of people packing inside the Capitol Rotunda, how warm it's going to get inside there. They might have a very different issue when you have so many people packed shoulder to shoulder. It does get very warm, and you know, it is going to be interesting to see, as you mentioned, the interaction between the people as we continue to see that interaction. I did want to just allow our viewers to just absorb and you know, be part of this as we continue to raise the audio and just listen in and, you know, just take stock of this historic event. Although we do want to now pivot as we continue to see, here's a live look right
herself. And it was reported that Melania Trump's people did decline another invitation for tea with First Lady Biden a couple of weeks back. So I thought that was interesting. Maybe no love lost between the two there. But we know Melania Trump really took a back seat, was almost completely absent from the 2024 campaign. Yes, she did appear at that Madison Square Garden rally in New York City. She did appear at the RNC there in Milwaukee. She did not speak at the RNC, and so it'll be interesting to see. She did take somewhat of a backseat in the Trump first term as well. In the role of First Lady, the role of First Lady that Jill Biden took was very front and center, was very prominent. Someone to even argue that she was, because of President Biden's age or alleged infirmities or alleged senility, that she was somewhat also in charge of the inner circle, so to speak. So I thought those roles were very different.
And we
now
see the
have
doors,
the two
Andrew,
principals, I believe,
opening
coming
once
out.
again.
Maybe not.
I just wanted to, it's always interesting. We see them from a distance, but truly they only know what's happening inside that vehicle, of course, alongside, you know, Secret Service. But they too are departing the White House. And finally, as we pivot the view right there back to the front doors, you know, we are expecting to see President-elect Trump and President Biden to depart shortly. I also wanted to share this look as we continue to take a look. You can see House Speaker Mike Johnson there arriving at the Capitol Rotunda, as we do see the limousine that is set to depart the White House right here. And I did just want to pause on this live look as we are expecting President-elect Trump and President Biden to be departing the White House in just a matter of moments, also sharing a singular vehicle as they make their way to the Capitol Rotunda for this historic moment, as President-elect Donald Trump is going to be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States.
And just to know, that was Senator from Nebraska. There's this entire committee known as the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, tasked with putting all this on. And so that's why you saw Senator Deb Fischer there, the Republican of Nebraska. And so they are responsible for planning this. All goes off without. And so you're instrumental in this. You're going to see them quite a lot today. And you just saw Deb Fischer there with, I believe, Usha Vance and Doug Emhoff. So wanted just to note that there as well. You congressional leaders get there into the rotunda. You just saw and others, Speaker Mike Johnson. So congressional leadership looks like they are in the building. We are waiting, to your point, President-elect Trump and President Biden. And to your point, I do hope that maybe some of the official will release photos of how these moments transpired, what the conversations were like, some reporting as well. We do know, though, the Bidens have been somewhat gracious after the November 5th election. President Biden inviting Trump to the White House week, and seeing today and that is why this is so important. So Biden and Trump will be riding over in the Beast to the Capitol from the White House momentarily. This is really quite something. Obviously they haven't spent that much time together. They were on a debate stage twice. They were on a debate stage once before. They've appeared at similar events at the same. I would venture to going to be the closest intimacy they have been for the longest duration, maybe ever. And so you just have to wonder what those conversations are going to be like. These political rivals, from all reporting suggests they literally cannot stand each other. And I think a lot of the viewers forget that after Biden sought to seek re-election after the in Atlanta, where he withdrew from the ticket, that he was not going to be the rival. It was going to
limousine departs right there. We actually saw President-elect Trump on Andrew, just checking some stuff. But we were hearing one of the reporters yelling out to both Biden and Trump, what are you to talk about? And, obviously, they did not answer. But of course, that's the question that everyone wants to know. What will these gentlemen be speaking about? They, of course, were joined by Representative Amy Klobuchar, who, is part of the committee that oversees inauguration and all of the events. But still, curious minds want to know, Andrew, what is the conversation going to be like inside this limo? I typically minutes it's going to take for the limousine to actually arrive at the Capitol, but it could either be a very long ride or it could be a very short and comfortable ride. We don't know.
Yes, it is a very short ride, under 10 minutes. And yeah, you saw there Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota, the Democrat, another member of this joint congressional committee on inaugural ceremonies. And so she's also in the limousine. Maybe she'll be breaking the ice, so to speak, between Trump and Biden. But this leads me to wonder as well, Stephanie, what is the Biden post-presidency going to look like? We know they're going to be, they being Joe and Joe Biden, they'll be spending a day after today off there to the West Coast. We know Trump is going to later this week on Friday to survey some of the damage wrought by the LA wildfires. So they may be in California at the same time as well. But a post-presidency looks different, so to speak, if you're Obama and you're leaving the White House in your 50s. Biden leaving the White House in his early 80s. I wonder how he will choose to use that. He said in a speech in South Carolina just yesterday, he is going to remain engaged. He is going to remain committed. He's not going anywhere. So I think it remains to be seen what his role in American political life will be going forward. Sometimes presidents, all presidents, when they leave the White House, they go back to being everyday regular citizens. But some take up a role and they want to be, and they want to use their influence that they had in the Oval Office, even while not in the Oval Office. Jimmy Carter was a perfect example of that. And so you're watching the Beast right now move down Pennsylvania Avenue, down to the U.S. Capitol. This is quite something. This is remarkable. Let's just watch and listen.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full business functionality and a design tailored just for you.
All right, it does appear perhaps as though this live look right there, foes. Andrew, obviously this, this is coming from one of the vehicles as part of this motorcade. It does look like they are trying to get it back, but and it does look like they have. We're just going to hang on this. It looks like they have fixed this issue. Let's listen in.
We're moving down Pennsylvania Avenue right now, and you can just hear the cheers from so many of these supporters who have lined the streets there. And you can see them on the side. It is very art, if you're familiar. I apologize about the feed. It looks a little bit in and out there, but we're going to stay with it. But both President Donald Trump inside alongside Senator there. About under 10 minutes. Move to the U.S. Capitol. Security, you can see there. Some of the true the motorcade as it moves past. And now I believe we're going to be right outside the U.S. Capitol. So this is really, really remarkable. We're not going to, and it has been reported, we're not going to see your typical inauguration parade, down Pennsylvania Avenue because it is so cold. President-elect Trump will be his throngs of Capital One Arena, much like he had yesterday. Are watching it live. Thousands. They're not seeing. There's hardly anyone on the National Mall. One, it's inside the rotunda.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group